Hello and welcome to the Quever channel. I'm Jason, your host. Now I want to state something right at the beginning. I am not a lawyer. I am not a solicitor. I am not a person who works in the legal bounds. I am not an official of anything like that. Any advice I give here today, any information I give out, do your own due diligence. Do your own checkups, but this is how I understand it from my perspective, from my situation. Okay, we're going to talk about cyberbullying and harassment, online harassment. Now, the first thing is this. I want you to understand this. A lot of the time, these cyberbullies, these harassers, will use something called a VPN, a private network software. You've seen it advertised everywhere. It's this magical thing that can obfuscate where you are and make it so that you can watch Netflix from another country and all this kind of things. But it can be used for nefarious means, like signing up for for YouTube accounts and VRchat accounts and email accounts and so on and so forth, and so people can't trace you. Well, there's something you need to know right here and right now. In the world today, there is only really one company in pretty much the entire world that provides a VPN that has no way of tracing it. I'm not going to say who it is, but there is only one. Every single other one keeps records and has been subpoenaed or requested by official people like the police and that, and has given out details. So they're not as hidden as they think. The thing about when they talk about the internet and they say when something goes up on the internet, it's there forever. Well, there's another thing. Anything you do on the internet is tracked by something. Oh, there is top tier people out there who are ghosts, but it doesn't happen often, and it is the police and the agencies that deal with all this have ramped up in recent years their tools and what they can do, because it's become such a big thing, because people get harassed, because there has been cases where people have committed suicide due to cyberbullying, due to harassment, and therefore it came more into public eye. Now in the UK we do not have new laws at the moment, but we don't need them. And remember, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a solicitor, I'm not in the legal profession. I've just done my own research. If you want to know about this kind of things, you check verified sources, do your own due diligence, and talk to someone who is an actual solicitor, talk to someone who is a legal representative, talk to someone who is in the police, and so on. Because that's where it becomes very useful for you. If you are being cyberbullied, if you are being harassed, as I was, and let's take this from 2 years ago in 2022 when this started. Just under 2 years, it was in June, I believe, or June or July of 2022. That fateful day when I come to public notice and certain people decided they were going to trash me and destroy me, and they doxed me and gave out live on their stream, they gave out my full home address. And thus started the harassment. Oh, there had been little attacks on the Munchies theatre, on people there and that, and so on. But this is when the big guns came out and they started the thingy. The thing is this. I'm going to tell you a few excerpts. Remember, this is just from my personal opinion. This is from my personal thingy. You need to have it. I can't say this is this and this is it. But here's the thing. Let me show you something. Now, I'm going to show you something. Now, this is one of the messages that was sent by these groups at the time on that day. And so, remember, this is people who had said they were going to get into my house. They were going to make me eat my wife's ashes, or they were going to... These people knew where I lived. And they were saying things like this. Now, we'll take this one single example. Of all the stuff that's happened over the last 2 years, we'll take this one simple example. And remember, I'll keep saying it, I'm not... So I'm going to have to keep saying that. But let's remember, in the UK, every single country has laws to cover this. I'm going to cover the UK laws, but I know in America it's a felony, and that I know that these things. And this is the thing. If you have to talk to the police, if you have to contact them about being cyberbullied, if you've been harassed and bullied and you think you're alone, talk to someone about it. Talk to a friend, talk to colleagues, talk to anybody that can help you. There's lots of charities. In the UK, there's lots of charities like the Cyber Smile Foundation and things like that, and Stomp Out Bullying, and there's all these kind of things in place. You're not alone in this. These people want to be anonymous. They want to hide in the shadows. Do not let them. And if you have to go to the police, and you're in the UK or whichever country you're in, then it's point out these situations. Like, you see that kind of message, and that's a horrible message that caused distress and harm and panic and anxiety to me at the time. And it's a horrible thing. It is obscene message, an obscene message. We've got to remember those words there. So let me explain to this and this is, remember, not a solicitor. I'm going to keep saying that. My apology, but I will keep saying that. Protection from Harassment Act 1997, and this is why we don't need any new laws to do with this. We've got the big guns already. Under the Protection from Harassment Act 1997, it is a criminal offence for a person to pursue a course of conduct which amounts to harassment of another, where the perpetrator knows or ought to know amounts to harassment. This can include sending a person multiple abusive emails with the intent of causing alarm or distress. A person found guilty of this offence could receive up to 6 months in prison, a financial penalty, or both. Section 4 of the same Act of the Protection from Harassment Act 1997 provides the potential for greater punishment to those found guilty of causing another people fear. Remember, we've got the 7-hour stream of what happened back then when Hoodcat and all the others were around, and they first started to trash me and gave out my address and all that. And I was in crisis. I was in fear. I couldn't leave my computer. I was so freaked out. So, provides the potential for greater punishment to those found guilty of causing another person fear on at least 2 occasions, that violence could be used against them. A person found guilty of this offence could receive up to 5 years in prison, as well as a fine. The 1997 Act also gives courts the powers to grant restraining orders. Interesting. But that's just one. Now, still looking at that one little thing there, that one little isn't there? In fact, we'll add one more. Let me pause and just add one more of the wonderful messages that came to me that day. Okay, so there in Perfect Thingy is the kind of things that were said to me back then and the start of this harassment campaign. And so now we come up to the second thing, the 1988 Malicious Communications Act. That's the Malicious Communications Act of 1988. Section 1 of the Malicious Communications Act 1988 states that it is an offence for any person to send a communication that is indecent or grossly offensive for the purpose of causing distress or anxiety to the recipient. The Act also extends to threats and information which is false, as in threatening to tell people in the area that I'm a registered sex offender, or known to be false by the sender of the communication. A person found guilty of this offence is liable to receive a prison sentence of up to 6 months, a fine currently up to £5,000, or even both. Now remember something. This was just the start of the harassment. This was just the start of the campaign against me. This was the start of trashing me and harassing me over 2 years. And thankfully, every time they appeared on the radar, every time they came to a stream, every time they left a message for me, all the way up to everything that was done, it was all copied down and added to the case file. What really kicked this into high gear was the fact that they came to my address. That it went beyond the fact that, it's just some kids looking at Google Earth who found your address on some site and they've just done it. No. Because when you view an event like them visiting my house, that puts everything else that's happened all the way back through the timeline, everything they've ever said, everything that's been recorded on every chat, everything all the way back to 2022 in stark relief and knocks it up the chain. That's the thing. If you are dealing with bullying, if you are dealing with a situation where people are basically trying to grind you down, trying to destroy you, trying to harass you or trash you, there is tools for you to use. Remember, I'm not a solicitor. I'm not anyone in the legal profession. But do not try to fight something like this alone. If you're facing anything like this, talk to someone. Get some help. There is lots of people out there that will help with this. Keep copies of everything. That's the key. Keep copies of everything that they do. All the different usernames they use, the way they attack you and that. If this happens in a game or something, record yourself. Record what's happening to you. Make sure you've got physical proof. We live in a digital age. And while these people like to think that they have the luxury of being anonymous and the luxury of being free from any kind of responsibility or consequences, maybe not so much. maybe not so much in the long run. Take care of yourself, everyone. I will update you on things that go on from now on with all this. I'm doing this more now because I don't want to see someone else dealing with this. I am very lucky. I have a lot of support. I have a lot of people who know me, a lot of people who know the situation. There's a lot of people who know my disabilities, who know what I'm dealing with. I have nothing to hide. When they try to bullshit and try to say that I'm not autistic, well, officially, until my report comes through, until I actually think, I am classed as, all the way back to 2015, I didn't know, but in my medical records, they thought even back then that I was autistic. That's something that came up in the assessment. I am officially diagnosed with PTSD, with bipolar type 2, which means I'm depressed all the time, and with ADHD. I am officially classed by official people who know things as being severely disabled. And that means I'm classed as a vulnerable person. And the police and other authorities take a very dim view to someone like me being under basically a harassment campaign, which can affect my mental health. But like I said, I am so lucky. I have never had to face any of this alone. I remember the moment on that first 7-hour stream, because I didn't contact anybody. I didn't ask anybody to come and defend me or to be there for me on that day. I was stuck in front of my chair. I couldn't leave because I knew if I shut down my computers and shut all that, I wouldn't be able to turn it back on and use it as a coping strategy. I had to stay there for the event. I had to. Even though they were attacking me, I couldn't retreat. I had nowhere to retreat to. Back then, one of the only coping strategies I had was streaming. It was the only thing that helped my brain deal with what it was dealing with. But as the chat went on, word got out. I don't know how word got out actually, but I think one of the people from Munchies and a few other places just sort of started to jump into chat and saw what was going on and rallied the forces, and all of a sudden I had people defending me. I had someone who actually bought for me my first set of security cameras to protect me. That was Nunya. But there's a lot of people out there, who get harassed like this, who get trashed. Because I'm not special. There's so many people in worse situations than me who get trashed and damaged and harmed by this kind of thing, and they don't have a support network. They don't have a group of people to back them up. They don't have a group of people who know they're telling the truth. They don't have a group of people who actually stand by them. And that's when things can go very badly. That's when depression can take hold. That's when people can end up with bad thoughts. Like I've always said, I don't shine the light on myself because I know I make myself vulnerable. By shining light on everything that I do, I don't make myself... It doesn't... Look at my videos. Look at how many click-throughs my videos get. My videos will never be monetized. This can never, ever be a career to me. I will never be this thingy. And do this as therapy for me, and I do this to help others. So that there might be someone out there who's dealing with this kind of crap who knows that they're not alone. Every country, I believe, well, every civilized country out there has rules pertaining to cyberbullying and harassment. If you are dealing with anything like that, please reach out to help for them. Don't face these kind of things alone. Take care of yourselves. This is Jason for the Clever Channel.